This happened in last October. I travel occasionally for contract work. This particular trip was supposed to be simple, 3 nights in a quiet suburban town. Hotels were overpriced, so I booked a basement studio through Airbnb. The listing looked clean, minimal, modern. About 12 5-star reviews. Not many, but enough to seem safe. The host's name was Daniel. No profile picture, just a gray silhouette. His messages were polite but short. He mentioned he and his wife live upstairs. Separate entrance, keypad check-in. I arrived around 7:30 p.m. It was already dark. The neighborhood felt unusually still. No streetlights on that stretch of road. No visible movement in nearby houses. The main house lights were off when I pulled in. Daniel had given me enough instructions to reach the basement entrance. I let myself into the basement. It smelled faintly like cleaning chemicals. The air felt colder than expected. Everything matched the listing photos perfectly. Bed against the wall, a desk, small kitchenette, one narrow window near the ceiling facing the backyard. When I check into a hotel or Airbnb, first thing I do is checking for hidden cameras. So I checked obvious places: bathroom vent, mirrors, bookshelf, nothing noticeable. Still, I unplugged the Wi-Fi router on the desk, just in case. The first night was normal. I watched YouTube, answered emails, went to bed around midnight. I woke up at 3:17 a.m. No sound woke me, no nightmare. I just opened my eyes. The room felt different. That's the only word I have for it. I stared at the ceiling. For half a second, I thought I saw a tiny red dot near the smoke detector. The smoke detector was placed directly above the bed. Then it disappeared. I sat up. My heart was racing, but I didn't know if I'd actually seen something or if my brain was filling in a fear I already had. I stood on the bed and inspected the detector with my phone flashlight. It looked completely normal. I went back to sleep eventually, but it took a while. The next day, I left early for work. When I returned around 6 p.m., something felt off. The trash bag I'd tied and left near the kitchenette was closer to the door. Not dramatically, maybe a foot. The desk chair was angled slightly outward instead of tucked in. I stood in the middle of the room trying to replay my morning. Did I bump the trash bag? Did I leave the chair like that? Memory becomes unreliable the moment doubt creeps in. The door was still locked. The keypad only works from outside, meaning if someone entered, they would have needed a key. I messaged Daniel. "Hey, just checking. No one entered the basement today, right?" He replied 20 minutes later. "Nope. Why?" I told him I thought something looked moved. He responded with a smiley face. "Old house. Things settle." I didn't push it further. That night, I left my laptop open on the desk recording video on. Not because I was convinced something was happening, but because I needed proof that nothing was. I went to sleep. At 2:54 a.m., I woke up to footsteps. Soft pacing directly above me, back and forth, slow, measured. It sounded intentional. It lasted maybe 2 minutes, and then stopped. I stared at the ceiling, waiting for it to resume. But it didn't. Eventually, I told myself, owners were just awake upstairs. But the pacing had been directly above where my bed was positioned. That detail stayed with me. In the morning, I checked the laptop recording. At first, nothing unusual. Then at 2:53 a.m., the audio picked up a faint click. Not from upstairs, but inside the room. A small plastic-sounding click. At 2:54, the light in the room shifted for half a second, like something briefly blocked the window near the ceiling. Then it returned to normal. I rewound it 3 times. The window faces the backyard. There's no road behind it. No headlights should pass through, but the change was subtle enough that I could argue it meant nothing. I felt something off with the smoke detector, so I unplugged it, twisted it off and removed the battery. Inside looked normal. Circuit board, wiring, nothing obviously suspicious. But I don't know what a hidden camera is supposed to look like. That evening, there was a knock at the basement door. It was Daniel. When I opened the door, he smiled calmly. He said that he noticed the smoke detector went offline. That word felt wrong. He explained it was connected to their home safety system upstairs. Alerts them if it's tampered with. I apologized, said it was chirping. He nodded slowly. Then his eyes scanned the room behind me. Not quickly, not casually, but slowly. After he left, I locked the door and pushed a chair under the handle. The third night felt heavier. Every small sound felt amplified. Around 3:11 a.m., I heard something different. A scraping noise upstairs. Then a dull thud. Then silence. A few seconds later, a soft beep. Inside my room. It was short and high-pitched. I sat up immediately. The router was still unplugged. My phone was face down. The smoke detector battery was out. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop. In the reflection of the black TV screen across the room, a tiny red dot behind me. I froze. I slowly turned around. Nothing. Just the wall. When I looked back at the TV reflection, the red dot was gone. I didn't sleep after that. In the morning, I packed early. Before leaving, I examined the small ceiling-level window. There were faint scratch marks along the inside frame. Fresh-looking, like it had been slid open and shut multiple times, but I had never touched it. From outside, that window sits at ground level in the backyard. Anyone could access it. Before driving away, I walked around the house. The grass beneath that window was slightly flattened. Not dramatically, but enough to suggest someone had stood there or crouched. I left without messaging Daniel. I didn't leave a review. I just left. 2 days later, I received a message through Airbnb from Daniel. It says, "Hey Felix, quick question. Did you move the secondary device under the bed?" I read the message 3 times. I replied, "What device?" 10 minutes later, replied, "Must have been mistaken. Found something out of place. All good." That was the last message. I never responded. I thought about reporting it. But reporting what? I found no camera. No one entered while I was there. At least, not that I saw. All I had were small inconsistencies. Individually, all explainable. But together? I don't know. Maybe I built a pattern out of random noise. Maybe exhaustion amplified everything. But here's what I can't ignore. The listing disappeared a week later. And about a month later, I drove past the house again while working nearby. There was a "for sale" sign in the yard. Sometimes I wonder if I was overthinking everything. If Daniel's message about the secondary device was harmless. Or if he was checking whether I'd found something he didn't expect me to notice. Maybe nothing happened at all. Maybe the red dot was just my mind filling in fear. Sometimes I think about that smoke detector. Not because I'm certain it was watching me, but because I'm not certain it wasn't. And I've realized something about fear. It's not always the proof that haunts you, but it's the absence of it.